Pete Hegseth decided to fat shame his generals, saying, quote, "It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon leading commands around the country. In the world, it's a bad look." And as we see the images of people starving in Gaza, the thing that we should definitely care the most about is our generals' waistlines. I guess they want to take on government waste by watching the generals waste away?
Nice, yes, like that. Sorry, he's talking about fat shaming people. Has he seen his boss?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Washington to Westminster, the show that never shuts down, even if the government does. Well, except for occasional breaks for holidays and things like that. I am Andrea Bridges-Smith on the Yankee Doodle not-so-dandy side of the Atlantic, and with me over in jolly-ish Old England, it's Matt Johnston from the Interesting Times. Matt, how interesting are the times this week?
Yeah, they're quite interesting. Not as interesting, but let's be honest, probably over the next few years as you guys are having it. But here we go. Andrea, let me ask you a genuine question. Do you guys, I say you guys as in Americans, have mandatory ID cards? And do you have them to be able to check that you're able to work? You're allowed to work in America?
Yeah, you do have to have some kind of permission to work in the US. It's not always like an ID card, but there has to be some kind of documentation, unless you don't mind getting paid under the table or in ham.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Confession time. I have had a little bit of first-hand experience of being paid under the table. I was in New York 35 years ago, and yeah, I had a Christmas job packing fruit. You meet some
Interesting.
interesting people doing that. It was fun. It was fun. I couldn't get a regular job. I wasn't allowed to work, so there we go. What can I say? Ice. We'll see how far ICE's reach is, shall we?
Yes,
How far
you
they
might
go
not
back.
want to admit to crimes that,
Cut it
let's hope
from the
that
edit. Cut
statute
it
of
from the edit.
limitations has
All right.
run out.
Well, I'm just asking anyway, because that's what we've just been told by our government, that there will be government issued ID to everyone, and no one will be able to work without it. It's worryingly sudden and comes just a couple of weeks after we made a deal with your president to have what I understand will be basically fields of database banks storing tech stuff. Okay, I don't know what they'll be storing, but maybe it's nothing to do with this ID thing. Maybe.
This is pretty strange.
Yeah.
Was the biggest problem in the UK that people weren't being tracked enough? Because I could have sworn it was something about rising energy prices. No?
Yeah, I would have thought that as well. But simple things like energy becoming more expensive than cocaine. You think the government would be dealing with that?
Well, hopefully no one is starting to snort coal dust over there. That could end badly. Pro tip: try snorting the sun instead. It's a more sustainable choice.
Oh, interesting. There you go, viewers. That's one for you to take away. Don't say we never sort of give you any, things that you never learn here, because I never knew that either. All right. So just to be clear, this isn't ID card. It'll be an ID app, I suppose, unless you don't have a phone, in which case, yes, it'll be a card.
Okay.
But the real concerning part is that we, the British people, have had no say on this. It wasn't in Labour's manifesto and was actually rejected by them after they won the last election. And with all the polling seeming to point to the next government being a reform one, shall I say I'm somewhat sceptical, Andrea?
Well, I can't see why. You might as well just go ahead and build that database and then hand it over to Nigel Farage to screw up. What could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So where did this idea come from?
Well, this is very much Tony Blair's brainchild. He's getting himself back in the news quite a bit, Tony Blair. We'll come to this separate part in a moment, but he tried to introduce them in the early 2000s and pretty much every year since then.
Okay, have to admire his persistence. But why are they saying that this is necessary right now?
Well, the reason given is so we will know who is and who isn't in the country. But it does feel like a huge government overreach with no idea who's going to set this up and who can demand access to it and security. And, well, our government doesn't have a great record when it comes to not leaking people's personal details.
Right.
And all the details here will be centralized. So it is there. A lot of this information is there on various websites, but you have to go to each individual websites. So now it'll be centralized on one, and any hacker could go onto one website and get everything. We do like to help our young antisocial IT criminals.
Yes, and I think that's lovely of you. Maybe we should just go ahead and make a list of accounts and routing numbers and, brew 'em a cup of tea while we're at it.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like a cracking idea. The other thing that's been going on over here, actually still on at the moment, is the Labour Party conference. I think today's the last day. There's a Labour Party conference in Liverpool, and the somewhat never-ending question of, can Keir Starmer survive?
So far, he seems pretty tenacious. He's like a Gloria
Yeah.
Gaynor song, you know?
Yes, they Tony Blair went through the same sort of thing. They ended up calling him Teflon Tony,
Ah,
because nothing ever stuck to him. But anyway, the mayor of Manchester, a chap called Andy Burnham, whilst not coming out and saying, I should be party leader or prime minister or both, but he is making speeches at the conference about what the party should do, which direction it should go, what he would do if he was in power, that sort of thing. It's a bold move. So he must think that there's a likelihood, it might happen.
interesting. Okay. Now, I know that you guys have a recent history of going through prime ministers rather quickly. But how likely is this? Because I read something that said that Starmer's polling as the most unpopular prime minister on record, to which I'm sure Liz Truss immediately popped out from behind a bush and said, "Not looking so bad now, am I?"
I can definitely see Liz Truss in a bush. There we go. Um, yeah.
Twigs in her
Well,
hair.
yes, it's funny you should talk about polls because it depends on which poll, right? There's another poll that came out a couple of weeks before that, which basically put Starmer ahead of Blair in the form of popularity, and actually, I think the third most popular Labour prime minister ever, behind Attlee and Gordon Brown, bizarrely. So polls don't always tell you the full story. But
Right.
anyway, Mr. Burnham, Andy Burnham, here's the problem for him, and he must have thought about this because he's not an MP. Now that doesn't actually matter. I was looking this up. According to the Constitution, you got to love our Constitution, right? You think yours is wacky, but according to the Constitution, it's down to the king, whoever the king decides to put into place. And that could be it could be me. And it doesn't even have to be a person. It could be these pair of spectacles I've got here. Absolutely anything.
Please do a
But
horse.
he
Please
could be
make
a
a horse
horse.
the prime
Yes,
minister.
you're well ahead of the game. There we go. George the Third. George the Third, I believe. Yes. So it would be very, very unusual, though, for him not to get the job without some sort of election, right? And will effectively play into the hands of the opposition parties who will say, with some justification, nobody elected this guy.
Well, sure, but the conservatives didn't elect all kinds of people.
Well, quite. When it comes to moving people around and switching parties, I just wish that politicians would be honest and say, no matter who goes where and no matter who switches parties, you're not getting an election, Britain. Okay, just own up to it. Now, at least we know where we stand. So, the latest, by the way, on the whole Andy Burnham thing is, the leadership bid that wasn't really a leadership bid. Wink. But the whole thing has sort of fizzled out. So when I said he must have thought about this, I actually don't think he did. So it's looking like Starmer the stayer.
Okay. All right. Well, I like to think if I was in Andy's position and I had the option of choosing my career or my country and my party, that I'd do the honorable thing and go with whatever is in my own selfish best interest. So,
Yeah, quite, quite. To be fair to Andy Burnham, sometimes I think you get wrapped up in things. He does seem like, and he's done a good job in Manchester. There's no denying that. But I think sometimes, especially when you got a lot of MPs, and they don't come out publicly and do it, but they come behind the scenes and say, you should run for leader, you should run for leader. Then they're all very quiet when he comes out and makes a speech or anything. Anyway, that's enough about what's over here, Andrea. What's happening over there in Crazy Town?
well, as of the current time of this recording, our government is shut down. Now, you might be thinking, thank goodness, given the current leadership of the government, perhaps it should be shut down. But what it actually means is that about 750,000 federal employees are going to get totally screwed for a little while, possibly permanently, while the people running the government will still get paid to point fingers at each other.
Wait, so you'll forgive me because genuinely we've never had a government shutdown. It's extraordinary, really. We've had impasses. You know, there have bits where there's been like a block in Parliament on a
Hmm.
particular vote,
Yeah.
but it's not uh, revolved around. You know, not ended up with the government um, shutting down. This happens an extraordinary amount in Northern Ireland, where of course you've got the you know, the unionists and the loyalists and stuff, and that they're forever at sort of not forever at loghouse. That's the wrong way of putting it, but that it it's created problems, shall we say? And it kind of blows my mind. So, from what you're saying, these workers won't get paid, but the politicians do. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. And so at this point, both sides seem pretty dug in, so it could go on for a while. So the Democrats, what's tricky for them is they don't have a lot of power right now, because the GOP is in charge of the White House, both houses of Congress, and the Supreme Court. The one thing that Democrats can do is vote together in unison to block the government funding, so that the government can't carry out its plans. And that's what they've decided to do here. They said that they will not back down until they get healthcare funding and healthcare cuts reversed, which, Matt, sometimes in America we do give a shit about healthcare. But don't worry, we promise not to make a habit of it.
Good, because that's our deal. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Americans appear to, sorry, the Democrats appear to care about healthcare, certainly.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Now, what's interesting
fascinating.
is that the GOP is coming back at them and saying, "Oh, the Democrats are shutting down the government because they want to give free healthcare to illegal aliens," and it's like, no, they want just regular people, just to not die in the streets. Is that okay with you guys? Like, seriously.
Yeah, what is wrong with these people? You got to ask, and it's a question I know that you ask on a weekly basis, Andrew. So there we go. Any other news from over there?
Yes. So the other interesting thing going on is that Pete Hegseth, former Fox News host and current Secretary of Defense, who is making it up as he goes along, he summoned all of his generals from around the world for a little pep talk. And I'm curious, do you guys ever just pull your generals out of war zones so you can lecture them, Matt?
Oh, all the time. I tell you, I like to wear those wide yoppers, you know, like Patton wore, and maybe an eye patch while I chew a cigar and start every sentence with, "But now listen up, you pussies." Sorry, this blows my mind when I heard it. Uh, some of these generals are basically in war zones, aren't they?
Yes, there do happen to be, I don't know if anyone has noticed, just a couple of little wars breaking out, ongoing across the world right now. So, yeah, this is perfect timing to do this. So, he said several interesting things during this speech, starting with this. This is a direct quote. From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War, because we changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War, is this: war fighting, preparing for war and preparing to win, unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit, not because we want war. No one here wants war. Bro, you just said the word war like 10 times. I think you might want just a little bit of war.
Yeah, he definitely wants war. He just doesn't want to fight in one.
Right.
I imagine there was a lot of eye rolling in the room. I can only picture that.
Interestingly, the room was dead silent the whole time. You could have heard a pin drop in there. He was speaking, and then Trump spoke, or blathered on is more accurate, for God knows how long. And it was so quiet in there that Trump actually said, "It's okay. You're allowed to applaud if you want to." And surprisingly, no one took him up on the offer.
Yeah, it's like we know it's not through lack of knowing whether we
Right.
can applaud or not that we're not applauding. Yes.
Yes. So then Pete Hegseth decided to fat shame his generals, saying, quote, "It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon leading commands around the country. In the world, it's a bad look." And as we see the images of people starving in Gaza, the thing that we should definitely care the most about is our generals' waistlines. I guess they want to take on government waste by watching the generals waste away?
Nice. Yes, like that. Sorry, he's talking about fat shaming people. Has he seen his boss?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yes. very salient point. So he also said that all the troops have to meet the male standard of fitness tests. So I guess there's like two fitness tests. There's a women's version and a men's version, and now they're saying that the women have to be able to do the men's version. Definitely sounds like he's trying to get the ladies out of the military.
Okay, could he meet the male standard of fitness?
You mean the standards that he just invented with his personal trainer 10 minutes ago based on workouts he was already doing? Yes, I think he probably could. But I mean, I'm just imagining being a general who has spent your entire career in service to your country, seeing all the things that you've seen, and then being lectured by this pissant Fox News host who is known primarily for drinking too much, cheating on all his wives, and accidentally throwing an axe at a drummer. Just an excellent time for everyone in the military to resign and protest because you can't invade cities without troops, can you?
You certainly can't. No, absolutely right. Well, has there been any pushback from the generals, from the admirals? I imagine they're sort of, it's obviously they toe the line, much like the ones over here. They stick with the government line, shall we say?
Yes, but there are a lot of former military commanders who are, very upset about all of this. And in fact, one of the things that Trump said during his speech after he, whinged on about Joe Biden and whatnot for a while was the troops should use American cities as their training grounds.
God.
So that's a little alarming, I think.
Wow, wow. He didn't mention. I mean, what's the nearest big city to you, Andrea?
Let's see. Well, I'm in Austin, which is a pretty decently sized city. Probably the biggest city near us is Houston, which is where I am from originally, and that's like the fourth largest city in America. So yeah, but it's a city, it's a blue city, but it's in a red state. And so who knows what happens there?
Yeah, interesting, interesting. Well, stay safe. It's it's strange that we're having to sort of say things like this now, isn't it? It's not even a year in, for goodness sake. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Hey, let's have some good news. Well, the good news from this, sort of good news. So, Andrea, yes, it's me, your resident sportscaster again. I don't know why I keep coming up with sports, but there we go. So, you're probably, or maybe you're not aware, but Europe won the Golf Ryder Cup at the weekend.
As the wife of a golf fan, I am way more aware of what happened at the Ryder Cup than I'd like to be.
Enough. Okay. And I'll be honest, that's fair. I could care less. And it does seem kind of ridiculous to consider what is essentially a hobby to be worth all those millions and be watched by all those people. But okay. I was, though, happy that Europe won it on American soil because the US did seem to have all these frat boy red-faced, yeah, man, you suck, you will shake twats, which obviously doesn't represent America. Well, certainly not the parts I've been to. But the bigger reason, and I mean that literally, is it would have upset a certain singular individual. No names, but this is the European team celebrating with the cup.
Are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching Donald Trump? Are you watching Donald Trump? Hey!
Well, I think that's an excellent celebration, and I think that all sports celebrations should now feature this. And one thing with golf is, I'm sure if you saw any of this, you notice that American fans, after someone hits a shot, like to very drunkenly yell, "Get in the hole!" And that is supposed to help the ball get into the hole. And it seems like you guys don't do that over there, right? Or do you have something that you say instead, like, bugger off into the hole? Or how do you guys handle that?
Oh, I suppose they might shout something like, go on, go on, go on, or something like, go on, go on. Yeah, get in the hole. What if the golf ball's deaf and can't hear you? What's supposed to happen then?
Exactly. And this is why we need diversity initiatives to account for the hearing of deaf golf balls. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of sign language would help, wouldn't it? Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, we're not quite done yet, ladies and gentlemen, because to finish up, Andrea, Here we go. I've gotten hold of some questions that new arrivals into the States will have to answer as part of their citizenship test.
No.
And no pressure, Andrea, but I'm going to be asking these questions of you. How do you feel?
I feel ready, and also slightly scared that if I don't get them right, I will be deported, but, let's see what happens.
All right. So to be clear, to be granted US citizenship, you have to have gotten 6 right. And I did this earlier. I got 7. So as I say, no pressure, right?
I don't know if you wanna try and get in here right now, Matt. I would stay put, so just on the citizenship thing, just maybe hold your fire.
All right. Okay. So here we go. They're multiple choice as well. So this might help. Question number 1. What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment? Protection against unreasonable search, seizure, and arrest, the right to a fair trial, the right to bear arms, or freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
There you go. I
Not
suspect you
deported
didn't
yet.
need the multiple choices for that, did you?
Nope, that one I knew.
All right. Correct. It's telling me correct, which we kind of knew. Question number 2. We elect a US representative for how many years?
2.
Correct. See, I would have fallen at that. I would have said 4 because obviously that's when the president, but there you go. Wow. Who is in charge of the executive branch?
The president.
President? I'm not giving England the multiple choices here, and you're killing it. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the states. What is one power of the states? I might need to give the options here.
Yeah,
To
let's do that.
approve zoning and land use, to conduct foreign policy, to establish a post office, to regulate interstate trade.
The first one.
Okay, approve zoning and land use. You are correct. You are knocking it out the park.
All right.
What is the political party of the president now? These are not that tough. I'm actually answering this one.
Well, I would say Republican, but it's actually more MAGA Republican, which is a thing unto itself at this point.
Nazi wasn't available. So, what is one responsibility that is only for United States citizens? Military service, jury duty, payment of taxes, or an oath of allegiance?
Let's see. I am gonna go with payment of taxes.
Payment of taxes? Ooh, incorrect.
Was it jury duty?
Jury duty, yes. Were you going to go for
That
that
was
for
my
your second
second
answer? You
choice.
were, yeah.
Oh gosh, ICE is gonna be knocking on the door any second now. See you in
I-
Rwanda, Matt.
Yeah. Wherever you go, if you can find a laptop for next time, it is fine. Fine, wherever
Yeah.
you are. Yes.
Yeah.
Who lived in America before the Europeans arrived? The Chinese, the Native Americans, American Indians, or the Anu? I can't read that. Sorry. Anyway, I know what you're going to say.
That would be the Native Americans.
That would be the Native Americans. Question number 8. Identify the US war between the North and the South. Crikey.
That's a Civil War.
Yes.
Coming soon, Civil War II, Electric
War II.
Boogaloo.
Before he was president, Dwight Eisenhower was a general. What war was he in?
I want to say World War II.
Let's go for it, shall we? I'm not giving
Yeah.
you hints. Correct.
Yes.
And finally, identify one state that borders Mexico.
That would be Tejas right here, baby.
There you go. There you go. Wonderful stuff. Round of applause. So your final scores after all that is 9 out of 10. You are safe. For
Okay.
now.
For now. Not generally, but today.
Yes, quite. It's there we go. Very well done. In fact, I'm pretty impressed. I won't lie. Some of the questions weren't particularly tough.
That is true. Yes. We keep it
But I
simple.
guess you got to have a rudimentary knowledge of America if you want to live in America. That's the thinking.
Yeah. And it makes sense if you're going to live in a country to, know some things about it, know the history, so that, you know how to act as history is being rapidly remade. So this is a good opportunity for them to learn before all of the history books get changed. Before you know it, slavery will never have existed at all.
Yeah, 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 very much so. How do you get on at home, by the way? Do let us know. Put it in the comments below. If you did get a full sweep, a full 10, or not so well, then do let us know. If you played along well at home, you could have. I'm not sure how that would work. You would need to sort of stop and start it each time. But yeah, if you did play along at home, let us know how you got on. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. And now to subscribe to our individual channels, Andrew's right here. So the American Madness, until she has to go off grid, obviously, you can find it right here. Link below. Well, the channel below. And mine is at theinterestingtimes.co.uk for the British equivalent in so many frightening ways. So we will see you all soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.